What if no one is coming to save you? And what if that's not a tragedy, but the exact wake-up call you need? Think about it. Most of us are taught to wait for the right partner to make us whole, wait for the perfect job to finally feel secure, wait for society, the government, or even fate itself to rescue us from our struggles. But what if that rescue never comes? Would you collapse, or would you finally rise? The ancient Stoics believed that your peace, your strength, and your freedom don't come from the outside. They come from radical self-responsibility, taking ownership of your mind, your choices, and your reactions. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? But it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever accept. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, lived through relentless war, political betrayal, and a devastating plague. And yet, in his private writings, he never begged for salvation. He didn't write as a ruler demanding control, but as a man searching for clarity within himself. He reminded himself, and now us, of this timeless principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So let me ask you, if your life feels stuck, if chaos surrounds you, what's the first step to fixing it? The Stoics would say it's not your environment, not your job, not the people around you. It's your mind. Because until you master your thoughts, every external victory will feel hollow. But here's the hard part. Fixing your mind doesn't come from inspirational quotes you see scrolling online. It doesn't come from surface-level advice that makes you feel good for 5 minutes and then fades. It comes from rules, brutal ones, principles so sharp they slice through your excuses, demands so clear they leave you with no room to hide, no place to run except forward. In this video, we're going to uncover 10 brutal Stoic rules to rebuild yourself from the inside out. These are not comforting lessons. They will not pat you on the back or whisper sweet words in your ear. They will challenge you, confront you, and force you to face the parts of yourself you've been avoiding for too long. These rules come from men who lived through darkness most of us can't imagine. Epictetus, who wrote while enslaved. Seneca, who wrote while preparing for death. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the greatest empire on earth while losing nearly everything he loved. They didn't just survive, they became unbreakable. And if you commit to what you're about to hear, you too can become unbreakable, calmer in chaos, stronger under pressure, and more disciplined in a world addicted to comfort and distraction. By the end of this journey, you'll walk away with 10 timeless tools not to make life easier, but to make yourself stronger. And I'll tell you this now, the very first rule is the hardest to accept. It will shake the way you see the world. But once you embrace it, it will break your limitations like glass. So here's my challenge to you before we even begin. If you're ready to stop blaming, stop waiting, and start building, drop this phrase in the comments right now: discipline over everything. Let's see who's serious about mastering their mind and who just wants another motivational video. Because this isn't just motivation. This is Stoicism. This is where excuses die. And this is where you begin. Before we dive into the hardest truths, let's start with the one resource you can never get back once it's gone: your time. The Stoics warned us, waste it, and you waste your life. That's why Rule Hagion begins here. Let me ask you something. If you lost all your money tomorrow, could you earn it back? If you lost your reputation, could you rebuild it? Even if you lost your position in society, could you rise again? The answer is yes. History is full of people who rebuilt their fortunes, their names, and their lives after crushing failure. But there is one thing you can never rebuild once it's gone: your time. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned us thousands of years ago. It's not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it. No one is truly poor except the one who squanders time. Think about that for a moment. Fiver men, or in manus syllabus self. You can be wealthy in gold, wealthy in influence, even wealthy in love, but if you treat your hours carelessly, you are poorer than the beggar on the street. Every minute you waste on procrastination, on endless scrolling, on meaningless arguments, you're not just passing time. You are stealing from your own future. You are selling off the most precious asset you'll ever own. And the cruel part is, you can't buy it back at any price. Look around. Modern life is designed to consume your hours. We live in a world of instant gratification. One swipe delivers distraction. One tap delivers entertainment. One click delivers another excuse to put off what really matters. We think we're relaxing, but what we're really doing is leaking away the very thing our life is made of. Have you ever looked up from your phone after just a few minutes and realized an hour had vanished? Multiply that by a year, by a decade, and ask yourself, what could you have built with that time? A new skill? A stronger body? A deeper relationship? A calmer mind? Instead, you traded it for nothing. That's not harmless, it's theft. Self-theft. The Stoics treated time as the measure of discipline. They refused to use it as a drug to escape reality. They used it as a tool to build clarity, strength, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, while ruling an empire, wrote daily reflections not because he had extra time, but because he knew that an undirected mind is the greatest waste of all. So here's a question for you. How are you spending the minutes that make up your life? Are you investing them, or are you bleeding them away? Imagine your hours as gold coins in your hand. Every morning, you wake up with a fresh handful. By nightfall, they're gone spent. Some on work, some on family, some on distractions. Tomorrow, you'll get another handful. Until one day, you won't. And you don't know when that day will come. The brutal truth is this: you own nothing but time. Not your money, not your possessions, not even your body. All of those can be taken from you. The only thing you truly command is how you spend the hours you are given today. If you waste them, you're not just wasting time. You're selling pieces of your soul for cheap. So make this your commitment. Treat your time as your most sacred wealth. Guard it, direct it, invest it into things that outlive distraction, into growth, into discipline, into love, into meaning. Because one day, when the clock runs out, you won't regret losing money or losing comfort. You'll regret the moments you let slip through your fingers. Remember this: you don't own anything but time. Waste it, and you've already sold yourself. Now, if time is the currency of life, then death is the reminder that your account is limited. The Stoics carried a phrase with them: memento mori, remember you will die. And that's where Rule #9 strikes hardest. Have you ever noticed how we live as if we have unlimited time? We scroll for hours, argue over things that won't matter tomorrow, postpone dreams until someday. But what if that someday never comes? The ancient Romans had a chilling tradition. When a general returned victorious, riding through the streets of Rome, basking in cheers and glory, a servant would stand close and whisper in his ear, "You will die." Imagine that. At the very height of triumph, the reminder that his life, his power, and his glory were temporary. Now, Stoicism is not about glorifying death. It's not about being morbid or dark. It's about remembering that life is finite and that truth is what makes life urgent, vivid, and meaningful. When you remember that every breath could be your last, you stop wasting them on anger, resentment, jealousy, and petty distractions. Death, instead of being a source of fear, becomes a teacher. It teaches you to live urgently, to love without hesitation, to learn constantly, and to act while you still can. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, wrote words that pierce through time. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Think about that 10,000 years. How often do we act as though we'll live forever? We put off saying, "I love you." We delay starting the project that burns in our hearts. We assume there will always be more time. But Marcus knew, and deep down we know too, that nothing is guaranteed, not even tomorrow. So let me ask you, if today were your last day, would you still be angry at that person who hurt you? Would you still scroll mindlessly through your phone? Or would you finally pick up the phone and call your parents? Finally write that book? Finally take the step toward the life you've been imagining? The truth is, remembering death doesn't limit you, it frees you. It strips away illusions. Suddenly, the opinions of strangers online don't matter. The petty frustrations of daily life shrink. What's left is clarity. What actually matters and what doesn't. I'll share something personal. I once sat by the bedside of someone I loved as they were dying. In those final moments, nothing material mattered, no possessions, no arguments, no regrets. Only love, presence, and gratitude remained. That experience branded me with a lesson I'll never forget. Life is fragile, and death is not the enemy. Wasting life is. The Stoics embraced memento mori not as a curse, but as fuel. It was a reminder that life is short, and therefore every action, every choice, every word carries weight. Instead of letting death paralyze them, they let it energize them. So here's the message of Rule #9. Death doesn't take away your freedom. It gives you a reason to live with discipline, purpose, and urgency right now. Don't wait. Don't put your dreams on hold. Don't let bitterness, laziness, or fear steal another day from you. Because your time is the most precious thing you'll ever own, and it's running out faster than you think. Say it with me. Memento mori. Remember you will die. Not to scare yourself, but to wake yourself up. Because when you truly remember that, you stop existing and you start living. And if death reminds us that time is limited, Rule number 8 reminds us of something just as urgent. While you live, no one is coming to save you. The moment you stop waiting for rescue is the moment you begin to live free. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if no one is coming to save you? What if the cavalry you're waiting for never arrives? The mentor, the partner, the friend, the miracle. What if the only person left is you? Epictetus, once a slave in ancient Rome, understood this truth better than anyone. He wrote, "As long as you breathe, you still have power over yourself." Imagine that. A man with no rights, no future, no freedom. Yet he discovered a power that could never be chained, his own mind. We don't like to admit this, but most of us secretly wait for rescue. We wait for the perfect job to fall into our laps, for the right person to heal our loneliness, for society or government or fate to fix our problems. But the world doesn't owe us a rescue. And when no help comes, we feel abandoned, even betrayed. But here's the paradox. That moment when you feel most alone, when no one answers your call, when no hand reaches out, isn't punishment. It's revelation. It's the mirror that shows you who you really are when the noise fades. And more importantly, it shows you who you can become when there's no applause, no encouragement, no backup. Think about it. If you always had someone rushing to pick you up, would you ever grow stronger legs to stand on your own? If every burden were lifted for you, would you ever build the resilience to carry life yourself? The Stoics believe that freedom begins the moment you stop waiting. Stop waiting for a savior, for a sign, for a solution. The sooner you realize that no one is coming, the sooner you begin to act. Look around at modern life. We've built entire systems that make us believe answers will always come from the outside. Therapy sessions, support groups, motivational posts. And while these things can help, they can also make us forget the truth. What happens when all of that disappears? When the room is empty and the screen is blank, the only person left is you, and that is enough. Because when you act from within, when you rise, not because it's easy, but because it's the only path left, you discover the purest form of freedom. Epictetus taught that liberation doesn't begin when someone removes your chains. It begins the moment you stop expecting life to rescue you. That's when you become sovereign, governed not by chance, but by choice. So I want you to imagine a moment in your life right now where you're waiting for someone else to fix it, waiting for something outside yourself to change. What if you stopped waiting? What if you decided that the responsibility is yours alone? Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But that weight, that responsibility, is also the key to your freedom. The world is not coming to save you. And strangely enough, that's the greatest opportunity you'll ever have. Because when you stop waiting, you stop wasting, and you become unshakable. So write this down, etch it into your mind. No one is coming, and that is your chance to rise. So when no savior arrives, where do you turn? The answer is simple but brutal. Inward. Marcus Aurelius knew the real war was never outside, it was inside. And that's why Rule-7 is about mastering the inner battlefield. What if I told you that the real war of your life isn't happening out there? It's happening right here. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, commanded vast armies, faced betrayal from allies, and ruled during times of plague and chaos. But in his private reflections, he didn't obsess over military strategies or politics. He wrote about something far more important, the discipline of the mind. He realized that the greatest battlefield is not on the frontier. Think about your own life. You wake up, and the world greets you with bad news, endless tasks, disappointments, and responsibilities you never asked for but cannot escape. That is the external battlefield, and it has always been chaotic and always will be. You can't bend the world entirely to your will, but there is one fortress no one can breach unless you open the gates: your mind. If you allow fear, anger, or anxiety to seize control, then every victory outside of you is hollow. You can win promotions, earn wealth, receive applause, but if your inner world is ruled by chaos, you remain a slave to yourself. That's why Marcus wrote, "You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." His reminder was simple. The only victory that matters is mastery over yourself. And isn't that more true today than ever? Consider someone who collapses under online criticism, undone by the words of strangers, or a leader who crumbles when years of work fall apart overnight because of forces beyond their control. The difference is not in what happened, it's in how they responded. The Stoics refused to surrender their minds to chaos. They didn't waste strength trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they mastered the one thing that always belongs to them: their interpretation, their response, their posture. That is the line between being ruled by impulse and being guided by principle. Ask yourself this: how often do you let the outside world dictate your inner state? A rude comment ruins your day. A small setback breaks your confidence. A delay, a rejection, a criticism, and suddenly you hand over the keys to your peace. Why? Because your fortress was never fortified. The world outside will never stop raging. Storms will rise, betrayals will come, losses will strike. That part is not optional. But if your mind is trained, if your inner fortress holds, no wave can break you. You will stand like a lighthouse in violent waters, unshaken, immovable, a beacon of stability in a chaotic world. This is what survival looks like. This is what freedom feels like. The world outside doesn't have to be calm for you to be calm. The storm doesn't have to end for you to stand strong. So rule-7 is not just advice, it's survival. Control the war inside, or the world outside will control you. Remember this: you don't win life by conquering others, you win by conquering yourself. But even if you win the war inside your mind, another enemy waits silently outside. It doesn't shout, it doesn't fight, it comforts you. And that comfort, as Seneca warned, is the most dangerous killer of all. Let me ask you something. What's the one thing everyone in the modern world is chasing? Comfort, a softer bed, faster delivery, easier entertainment, less effort, less pain, less struggle. And yet, The Stoics warned us centuries ago, comfort is not your friend. Comfort is the silent killer. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, lived with wealth, estates, servants, and luxuries most people could only dream of. But despite having all of it, he warned that comfort was dangerous. He saw that comfort makes us fragile. It lulls us into softness. And softness multiplies pain when life inevitably strikes. That's why Seneca deliberately practiced discomfort. He would sleep on the floor instead of his fine bed. He would eat coarse bread instead of feasts. He wore rough clothing instead of silk. Why? To remind himself, I am not dependent on these things. I am strong without them. Now fast forward to today. Modern life has given us more comfort than any generation in history. One tap brings food. One click delivers entertainment. One swipe gives us distraction. At first, it feels like progress. But the hidden poison is this. When ease becomes expectation, discomfort becomes unbearable. Think about it. How many people panic when the Wi-Fi goes out for an hour? How many break down at the first rejection, the first sign of hunger, the first moment of silence? It's not that life has become harsher, it's that we've become weaker. We suffer more in imagination than in reality because our imagination has never tasted discipline. Let me give you an image. Imagine someone who avoids all discomfort. They never push their body. Then one day, tragedy comes, illness, loss, betrayal, and they shatter instantly. Not because the storm was too strong, but because their foundation was weak. They built their life like glass, and when the first stone hit, it exploded. The Stoics chose differently. They saw hardship not as a curse, but as the forge of resilience. Cold sharpens endurance. Hunger teaches discipline. Rejection toughens resolve. Solitude builds self-reliance. To the Stoic, embracing discomfort wasn't about being cruel to yourself. It was about training your spirit to stand strong when life inevitably tests you. And here's the modern paradox. Comfort feels safe, but it actually steals your strength. Comfort feels good, but it makes you unprepared. It whispers, you don't have to try today, until one day life asks more of you than you can give. That's when comfort reveals its cost. So I want you to pause and ask yourself, where in your life have you let comfort weaken you? Is it in your health, avoiding the discipline of movement? Is it in your relationships, avoiding difficult conversations because they're uncomfortable? Is it in your goals, chasing distraction instead of effort? The answer isn't to hate comfort, but to stop worshiping it, to stop letting it define you. Seneca understood this better than anyone. He had riches, but he refused to let riches own him. His deliberate practice of discomfort was a reminder of freedom. A reminder that strength isn't found in comfort, it's found in what you can endure without it. So here's the truth of Rule #6. Comfort feels good until it costs you your resilience. And once resilience is gone, nothing outside you can replace it. Don't build a life of glass. Build a fortress. Train yourself to endure. Choose discomfort on purpose so that when life tests you, you won't break. You'll rise. And once comfort has softened you, it gives birth to something even more dangerous: excuses. Comfort whispers reasons to avoid the hard path, and those reasons become chains. That's why rule number 5 is clear. Your excuses are your shackles, and only you can break them. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to explain away your failures? I didn't have the time. I wasn't given the chance. People don't understand me. On the surface, these sound like reasons. But to the Stoics, they are not reasons, they are chains. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, knew limitation more intimately than anyone. He had no freedom, no rights, and yet he wrote one of the most liberating truths ever spoken. It's not things that disturb us. The pain we feel is not only from what happens, but from the meaning we attach to it, which means much of our suffering is not inflicted on us, it's chosen. That's the brutal reality. Excuses are self-forged chains, And every time you repeat them, the links grow heavier. You're not shackled by circumstances, you're shackled by the story you keep telling yourself about those circumstances. Look at the modern world. How many people spend years blaming their boss, their childhood, their partner, their bad luck? Not because they are incapable, but because they've surrendered to the role of victim. The Stoics refused to be victims. Epictetus had every reason to say, "I can't." He could have pointed to his chains and stopped there. But instead, he chose the opposite. He declared, "I can because I govern my will." Where others saw chains, he saw the chance to prove that no one could enslave his mind without his consent. Now let me ask you, what's the excuse you've been repeating to yourself? Too old? Too young? Not enough resources? Not the right timing? Every excuse sounds reasonable until you realize it's just another weight you're carrying. And the longer you carry it, the weaker you become. Imagine two people. The first says, "I can't build a business because I don't have the money." The second says, "I'll start small. I'll learn. I'll adapt." Same situation, completely different outcome. Why? Because one chose excuses and the other chose responsibility. This is where Stoicism draws a brutal line. Your limitations are not imposed. They're chosen. They live as long as your excuses live. Break the excuses, and the chains fall away. Keep them, and you'll carry them forever. And here's the sharpest part of this truth. No one else is holding you back. Not your boss, not your past, not your critics. Only you. So I want you to say this until it burns through the lies. My excuses are my chains, and if I want to be free, I must break them. It won't be easy. Freedom never is. But the moment you take full ownership, when you stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will," that's the moment your life changes. That's when you move from victim to victor, from chained to free. Rule number 5 is simple, but not soft. Stop making excuses, because every excuse is a chain, and the longer you wear them, the heavier they get. But when you finally break them, you'll realize you were free all along. And once the chains of excuses are broken, another trap appears: ego. The belief that your struggle is unique, that you are somehow above others. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of the opposite truth. You are not special, and that's rule number 4. Let me ask you something. How often have you been told you're special? Since childhood, most of us have heard it. You're unique. You're different. You're amazing just the way you are. And while it feels good to hear, the Stoics would warn, believing you're special is not strength, it's a trap. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, the most powerful man of his age, reminded himself daily of a sobering truth. Soon you will have forgotten all things, and all things will have forgotten you. Think about that. A man who commanded armies, who ruled millions, refused to believe he mattered more than anyone else. If he had to remind himself he wasn't special, what does that mean for us? Here's the danger of ego. The moment you think you're above others, you stop growing. You stop learning. You stop seeing reality clearly. And when failure comes, and it always comes, you collapse, because your entire worth was built on the fragile pedestal of being different. The Stoics didn't glorify uniqueness. They didn't celebrate the idea of being special. They celebrated universality. You are one among billions. You hunger like others hunger. You fear like others fear. You suffer, you love, you lose, you die just like every human who has ever walked this earth. Your struggles are not cosmic curses reserved only for you. They are human struggles, shared across centuries. But look at the world we live in today. Every message tells you, you're extraordinary, you deserve happiness, you're owed success. What happens when you're rejected, when you fail, when life treats you harshly, as it inevitably will? If you've built your identity on being special, you shatter. Let me give you an example. Imagine a person who has been told from birth that they are exceptional. They never face real criticism. They're sheltered from failure. They believe the world owes them understanding and comfort. Then reality strikes. They lose. They are rejected. They face hardship, and suddenly, their entire identity collapses because they believed they were above the human condition. The Stoics knew better. They didn't say, "You are special." They said, "You are human." And that's enough. Because when you realize you're not owed comfort, success, or recognition, you stop waiting for the world to hand it to you. You start working for it. You start building discipline. You start choosing responsibility over entitlement. And here's the liberating part. If you're not special, then your pain is not a curse. It's just part of life. If you're not special, your failures are not destiny. They're lessons, the same kind that millions before you have endured and overcome. If you're not special, your flaws are not permanent. Marks, they're things you can change, improve, grow past. Freedom begins the moment you stop clinging to the illusion of being extraordinary. Because once you drop that ego, you stop asking, "What do I deserve?" And that shift from entitlement to responsibility is the foundation of real strength. So repeat this to yourself. I am not special. I am responsible. That's not weakness, it's freedom. It frees you from illusions, frees you from self-pity, frees you to live with clarity and strength. Rule number 4 is not meant to crush you. It's meant to set you free. Because once you accept that you're not special, you no longer have to be. You're simply human. And once you strip away the illusion of being special, you're left face to face with something harder to confront: your weaknesses. The Stoics didn't nurture weakness. They cut it out. That's why rule number 3 is brutal. Kill what makes you weak. Let me ask you this. What's really holding you back? Is it the world outside? Or is it something living quietly inside you? Your own laziness, your self-pity, your addictions, your endless procrastination. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "It's not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare that they are difficult." Behind those words is a brutal truth. The problem isn't always out there. More often, it's inside of you. And if you want to grow, you have to destroy the parts of yourself that are keeping you small. The Stoics were not sentimental when it came to weakness. They didn't comfort it. They didn't excuse it. They cut it out ruthlessly. Because they knew. To carry weakness inside yourself is like walking into battle already wounded. You can't win if you're bleeding from self-inflicted wounds. Think about your own habits. You say you want discipline, but you keep feeding distraction, endless scrolling, another show, another excuse. You say you want peace, but you fuel your anxiety with constant comparison, with gossip, with negativity. You say you want strength, but you cling to the very behaviors that weaken you. That's why rule number 3 is brutal. If it makes you weak, it has no place in you. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, this doesn't mean becoming cruel to yourself. It means becoming honest with yourself. Honesty so sharp it leaves no room for lies. Because the modern world tells you, be kind to yourself. But here's the Stoic answer. Be honest with yourself. And honesty reveals something most people don't want to face, that the real enemy is not the world, not other people, not bad luck. The real enemy is the version of yourself you keep tolerating. Let me give you a picture. Imagine someone carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones. They complain about how hard it is to move forward, how unfair life feels, how heavy the load is. But the truth is, they're the ones putting the stones in the bag. Every excuse, every wasted hour, every bad habit, the weight is self-chosen. The moment they let go of what makes them weak, they would walk lighter, freer, stronger. So here's the challenge. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what inside me needs to die so that I can live? Is it laziness? Is it fear of failure? Is it addiction to comfort? Is it the habit of blaming others instead of taking responsibility? Killing what makes you weak doesn't mean you stop being human. It means you stop letting your lower self run your life. It means sacrificing comfort for growth, ease for discipline, fear for courage. It means saying, this part of me does not serve the person I want to become, and then acting on it. Because in the end, weakness doesn't just slow you down. It kills you slowly. It robs you of your potential, your freedom, your strength. But when you cut it out, when you refuse to let weakness live inside you, something else is born in its place. Resilience, discipline, power. So repeat this until it becomes a shield in your mind. If it makes me weak, it has no place in me. That is Stoic strength. That is the path to freedom. And even if you cut away the weaknesses inside you, there's still one more trap chasing peace in all the wrong places. The Stoics knew the world cannot give you peace. It can only tempt you. That's why rule number 2 is clear. Stop searching outside, because real peace is built within. Let me ask you something. Where do you usually look for peace? A vacation? A promotion? The right partner? Maybe the idea that once you have more money, more time, or more recognition, you'll finally feel calm? That's the trap most of us fall into. We believe peace is out there, waiting for us in some perfect circumstance. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the largest empire on earth while surrounded by wars, conspiracies, and plagues, wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Think about that. A man with armies at his command, with the power to shape the fate of millions, realized something most of us forget. If you don't master your own mind, no external victory will ever bring you peace. Look at modern life. We chase peace like it's a product through vacations, shopping, relationships, or endless entertainment. And sure, those things might give us a brief high, but the problem is they're fragile. Money disappears. Relationships end. Vacations are temporary. Achievements fade. If your calm depends on them, your calm isn't real, it's borrowed. And the moment life shifts, it collapses. Here's the Stoic paradox. The harder you chase peace in the world outside, the further away it slips. You build it by mastering your reactions, by refusing to hand over control of your mood to chance, by learning to say, this may be outside my control, but my response never is. Ask yourself this. How many times have you let someone else steal your day? A rude comment ruins your mood. A traffic jam makes you angry. A setback at work makes you spiral. Why? Because you believed peace was tied to things outside of you. But the truth is, those things only have the power you give them. Picture this. A person spends their whole life running from noise. They change cities, switch jobs, leave relationships, all in search of peace. But no matter where they go, the storm follows them. Why? Because the noise isn't out there. It's in here, inside their mind. Until they learn to quiet that, every escape will lead them right back into chaos. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He didn't seek peace by controlling the world, he sought it by controlling himself. That's why the Stoics built daily practices of reflection, self-discipline, and silence. They didn't wait for peace to appear. They forged it in the furnace of their own mind. So here's the hard truth of rule number 2. Stop searching for peace in places you can't control. Stop believing the next achievement, the next purchase, or the next relationship will finally complete you. Because they won't. Peace isn't given by the world. It's built by you. Repeat this until it becomes armor. I will not seek peace in places I cannot control. That is Stoic strength. That is real freedom. So let me ask you again. Where have you been chasing peace outside yourself? And what would happen if, instead, you chose to build it within? Because when you stop searching outward and turn inward, you stop being a prisoner of circumstance. You stop living at the mercy of fortune. And for the first time, you discover what the Stoics discovered centuries ago. Peace isn't found. Peace is made. And once you stop chasing peace in the outside world, you're left with the final, most brutal truth. Peace will never be given to you. You must give it to yourself. That's why rule number one is the hardest of all. You are responsible for everything. It gain and helbis. Let me ask you the hardest question of all. What if every single thing in your life, every failure, every setback, every heartbreak was your responsibility? Not your fault necessarily, but your responsibility. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because taking full responsibility often looks insane in a world addicted to blame. People will say, "It's not your fault. Life isn't fair. You've been wronged." And maybe all of that is true, but the Stoics knew something deeper. Until you take responsibility for everything, you will never be free. Think about it. If you keep waiting for someone else to fix you, to rescue you, to heal you, you've already given away your power. No one else is coming to rebuild your life. And that's not a punishment. That's the opportunity. Because when you finally say, "This is mine to face," everything changes. Bad childhood? It's still your responsibility to heal. Toxic workplace? Still your responsibility to choose how you respond. Betrayal, loss, injustice? This doesn't mean blaming yourself for what others did to you. It means owning your response, because that is the only thing you ever truly control. The Stoics didn't waste time crying about fairness. Marcus Aurelius lived through wars, conspiracies, and plagues. Epictetus lived as a slave. Seneca was ordered to take his own life. Not one of them built their philosophy on fairness. They built it on power, the power of action, the power of choice, the power of responsibility. So let me ask you, what story are you telling yourself right now? That life broke you? That someone else ruined you? That you're waiting for the right time, the right person, the right circumstances? Every one of those stories keeps you chained. But the moment you shift the story to, "This is mine to rebuild," those chains fall away. Imagine a person who has been through betrayal, loss, and disappointment. Most people would say, "Of course you're broken. You need someone to save you." But the Stoic answer is different. That's the brutal beauty of rule number one. When you own everything, nothing owns you. When you stop complaining, when you stop blaming, when you stop waiting, you rise. Not because it was easy, but because you decided to take full ownership. And yes, people will think you're harsh. They'll say you're being unrealistic. They'll say you're foolish. But as Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Because the truth is, most people never get this far. Most people live their whole lives blaming, excusing, waiting. So repeat this until it burns into your soul. I am responsible for everything. That is my power. It ends every excuse. It silences every complaint. And it leaves you with two choices: rise or remain. Rule number one is the hardest. But once you accept it, you become unstoppable. Because no matter what the world throws at you, you'll know the truth. You are responsible, and therefore, you are free. So, we've walked through 10 brutal Stoic rules, and if you've stayed with me until now, you've already done something most people never do. You've stared hard truths in the face. You've let uncomfortable ideas challenge you. And that says something powerful about you. Let's bring it all together. Rule after rule wasn't meant to crush you. It was meant to free you. No one is coming to save you. That's not a threat. It's a wake-up call. Control the inner battlefield, because without mastery of your mind, no victory outside will matter. Comfort is the silent killer. Stop worshiping ease and start training your strength. Your excuses are your chains. Break them or carry them forever. You are not special. And that's not an insult, it's liberation. It means your pain isn't a curse, your flaws aren't permanent, and your failures aren't destiny. Kill what makes you weak, because you cannot build a fortress on rotten foundations. Stop searching for peace outside yourself. It will never be given to you. You must build it within. Remember, you will die, memento mori. Not to make you afraid, but to remind you that every breath matters. And finally, time is your only true asset. You can rebuild money, reputation, even health. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. These 10 rules are not soft. They're not meant to make you feel good right away. They're meant to rebuild you from the inside out. They're meant to strip away illusions and excuses until all that's left is your raw power to act, to choose, to live deliberately. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and nod along. Pick one rule. Just one. The one that hit you the hardest, the one that stung, the one that scared you a little. And live by it for the next 7 days. No shortcuts, no justifications. Whether it's rejecting excuses, embracing discomfort, or taking full ownership. And don't keep it to yourself. Declare it. Write it down. Share it in the comments. Say, this week I live by rule number, tell the world, but more importantly, tell yourself. Because transformation doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with decision. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video, you're already on the path. You've stepped into a tradition of resilience and self-mastery that stretches back thousands of years. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they're gone. But their words live because they're waiting for someone like you to live them. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop drifting. You become the kind of person the world cannot break. So take a breath. Pick your rule. Choose strength. And let's see what happens when you stop surviving and start living, not someday, but right now.